In a sense, one could say that we are all equally abnormal.
There is a possibility, though, isn't there, that he's got this all wrong, that it's not all about sex.
Yes, people have said Freud's got it all wrong, but I think if we use an enlarged concept of sexuality, we actually do come to the conclusion that a lot of our mental world is conditioned by this drive.
Freud's progressive theories of sexuality spoke to a generation of young Viennese, cynical about the church and repressive morality. But his growing popularity had its dangers. Freud feared, not without reason, that because his circle was mainly Jewish, anti-Semitism would mean that his ideas would never be fully accepted.
Covert leaders, Catholics, show me to Catholic school children, because
Jewish science.
So we're trying to show it to all these Catholic people. Why Cardinal was in school. Trying to say Christians are Muslims. Trying to say all black people are Muslims. It's not trying to deal with me and my family.
He was the old man, so I settled down to learn something first.
Carl Jung was one of the brightest young psychiatrists of the day. Freud bestowed rapturous praise on him, and in return, Jung came to revere Freud. Given Freud's antipathy to religion, it's rather ironic that his movement was beginning to look a bit like a religious cult, with psychosexuality its key doctrine, Freud its high priest, and Jung the evangelist who promote Freud's message. But the evangelist soon became a heretic. Jung reinterpreted one of Freud's key terms, libido, which Freud understood as sexual drive, to mean all mental energy. And he also took issue with what he saw as Freud's obsessive focus on the Oedipus complex.
I've been researching my libido. What should we go to the toilet? What should we dreaming? What should we having sex? What should my erections? That's how dirty they are in the researching world.
With Freud calling Jung crazy and out of his wits, while Jung's parting shot was no less provocative. Your technique of treating your pupils like patients is a blunder. In that way, you produce either slavish sons or impudent puppies. I am objective enough to see through your little trick.
That's what a Covert leader. All these people need to look through him. His students, his juniors, people who talks to lectures, presentations, seminars, schools. Yeah, his organisation, which we need to look straight through him, because he's took it personal, doing twisted stitches on people without any consent, especially on me and my family.
In 1914, the heir to the Habsburg throne was assassinated, triggering a war with Serbia. Freud's sons left for the front line of a conflict that would become World War I. The war threw up new challenges for physicians. The mysterious breakdowns suffered by soldiers.
Soldiers, that's what we need to study. We don't need to study working class people, study black people, study people who are listed corruptly due to court cases not going CID's way, police's way or council manager's way, like Miss Hoban, which is all in the Telegraph. Yeah, look at our own people, look at the richer people, firemen, police officers, who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder.
So the physiological explanations just didn't stand up. Often written off as cowardly or weak, many of these soldiers were forced back into action within a few days. But Freud started a debate which would lead to today's widely accepted condition of post-traumatic stress disorder. Freud believed that war neurosis was a psychological problem.
And we use that now on people who've done crimes or witnessed crimes. Where they're trying to label me as suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder when I didn't even see nothing. Yeah, it's all lies in the Telegraph. Yeah, I don't suffer from nothing. Don't suffer from depression, don't suffer from anxiety, don't suffer from stress, don't suffer from insomnia, don't suffer from mental or physical fatigue or disabilities or illnesses or symptoms. Yeah, it's all made up because we're making people subjects and making videos about them using body doubles from the neighbourhood and in the works area. I'm exposing.
Spanish flu swept through the city, killing his beloved daughter Sophie. And even though all his sons returned, they were scarred by the experience.
See, doctors, nurses, police officers, psychiatrists, mental health sector workers, they all suffer. And these idiots from Coventry City Council and the government they've got in, Simon Tilley, and all the soldiers and researchers, they're trying to make out they're not suffering.
But
they
in
are.
1920, he published Beyond the Pleasure Principle and posited a second basic force in the mind, a death drive. Before, he'd seen aggression as a sadistic aspect of the sexual instinct, the urge for mastery, the drive to dominate the sexual object. But now, with the raw experience of humanity's dreadful capacity for self-destruction, he started to focus instead on the fatal psychological impulses within us. Freud proposed that the mind was made up of three elements. There was the id, an entirely unconscious part, the cauldron of our passions, where our death drive and our urge for sex could be found.
You can't believe that. Whatever he's searching for, studying people in Coventry, is twisted.
Then there was what he called the super-ego.
That's what he's got. Big head. Mr. Know-it-all.
Which could impose impossible ideas.
Twisted ego. Trying to qualify his juniors. Spitting his dummy out like a little kid because he ain't getting his own way. That's what I'm exposing. He's the idiot who's making a profile for his juniors and for his sexual services and for his Swansea Centre doctors and for his researchers. Yeah, old Gerrit Hattrick, probably retired, or Simon Tilley. Yeah, from them, who's done it all before, abused people for decades and generations.
Freud thought that psychoanalysis could help to strengthen the ego, although he never imagined that we'd be free of these internal conflicts. The best we can do is simply to live with them. Freud's ideas were eagerly taken up by a post-war generation in revolt against traditional values. In Europe and the US, a new egocentric permissiveness embodied in the glamour-driven world of dance music and moving pictures was taking hold.
Dance music. Music's just different generations. They tried to label people as ravers, but that was just a fashion back in the 1990s. Look at what was back then. Just look for music for all the times. It's just music. Doesn't matter how you're dancing, yeah, how you're singing. Yeah, it's just all still the same. Happiness, same buzz.
Yet as Freud's cultural
same comfort.
Soared, other, more insidious forces were gathering. Forces which would threaten his very existence. In neighbouring Germany, Adolf Hitler rose to power. Jews were immediately targeted, and Freud's books were burnt in the streets.
I sort of can't believe that. Using internet streaming now to make their own projects, linked to all the studies of Sigmund Freud. Yeah, passing it on to his juniors. And hidden case studies. They've shown all over the UK and through the internet, in presentations, seminars, conferences, and secret websites, amongst the mental health sectors and the Board of Psychiatry.
Just days later,
and the Tavistock Institute.
Knocked at his door.
The Swansea Centre Doctors Association, Dr. Holmes, Dr. Pretorius. They reckon the top psychiatrists. But psychiatry's on the way out. Not many students are going into it because we know how twisted it is. And it's unreliable. It's just their opinions of life and people and sociology. So they're not a bit, they do sociology engineering. Try and make things happen, to try and spice up their videos, their profiles, their hidden case studies.
Freud now realised that he had to escape.
With MK Ultra, Gorinchable.
But it's here we can start to get a measure of the broad appeal that Freud was starting to enjoy.
Trying to distract people.
Wildly disparate players.
And then make out these people are stupid, these people are hysterical, these people suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, or deluded visions, or schizophrenia, or breakdowns, or crises. That's the hidden case studies they've made on people. It's all fraud. It's all fraudulent. They're frauding everyone. They're frauding all their students, all the lecturers, all the researchers, and whoever they show them to.
belongings were
Trying to make
hastily
themselves look
packed.
intelligent, not Freud.
This trunk in the Freud Museum in Vienna has revealed poignant new evidence of Freud's traumatic break with the past.
We kind of rediscovered it after it had been sitting right in this corner for like 2 decades.
Yeah.
And when we moved it, we discovered this, a label of Wien Westbahnhof to London.
Ah, so we know that this is physically one of the bits of luggage that Freud would have taken with his family on the day that he left. And you can still open it, can you?
Yes, we can open it and see what's inside now. Because one thing that we discovered was very exciting to us, a squashed little box bearing Freud's handwriting, stating, "Martha, for your 21st birthday, from a poor happy man."
Wow. It's a tiny little thing, isn't it? But that is freighted with history and memory.
Yes, absolutely. Even without the jewelry inside, but still keeping the box with this personal little message.
Yeah. What Freud encouraged us to do was to face up to our own pasts so that we could live better lives.
Yes.
And here is Freud and Martha's past incarnate. It's very moving.
Im Alter von 82 Jahren verließ ich infolge der deutschen Invasion mein Heim in Wien und kam nach England, wo ich mein Leben in Freiheit zu enden hatte.
Now that is when 3 men of the Royal Society came to present the book of the Royal Society for signature to my father. And I think on the same picture is the signature of Darwin. That was a very nice moment.
But Freud was frail and severely ill.
We had this couch put up for my father to rest. That's in his last year.
For around 15 years, his jawbone was riddled with cancer. Despite over 30 operations that affected his hearing and his heart, he refused to surrender the oral pleasure that was almost certainly killing him. When his mouth was too painful to open, he'd wedge it with a clothes peg, just wide enough.
Smoke 12 cigars or so a day. It's a lot of cigars.
He set up his study, just as it had been arranged in Vienna, and continued to see patients. When Freud sensed that death was near, he asked for his bed to be brought down here so he could be close to his desk, his books, and his beloved collection of ancient artefacts. In September 1939, Freud arranged to be given a fatal dose of morphine. But even after death, Freud's ideas continued to gain momentum.
Psychiatry, we use a lot of his stuff, even though a lot of it's twisted.
To recognise that there is very little that is abnormal because the abnormal is so normal. And perhaps most important of all, really making it possible to talk about sex. That really...
Psychoanalysis come from the Greek.
After Freud's time. Homosexuality,
Greek language,
variety,
psych.
Much more sympathetic understandings about things that just used to be thought of as perverse. That was a big change in our sensibility, certainly of the Western world anyway, and something for which we should thank him.
There is an issue though, isn't there? Because some of his ideas, I mean, it's not just pop science, it's positively bad science.
It may even not be science at all, really, because the empirical basis for Freud's work is incredibly slender. I mean, he self-analysed, he analysed his wife and daughter, and a few neurotic Viennese ladies. And this is a very poor starting point for any real theory.
non-consented research.
How does that stand up against what we now know from science, from neuroscience, for example?
Well, of course, neuroscience is making enormous strides now that there are instruments like the MRI scanner, the magnetic resonance imaging scanner, and we've learned quite a lot. One thing we've learned is that most mental computation...
That's what these idiots in the flat upstairs. Yeah, they like to target people and like blocks of flats or houses because we're using see-through wall technology, thermal, infrared, ultrasound, X-ray, microwave technology to do illegal experiments, illegal studies on people. That's why I'm exposing it all.
He had the kind of strength to...
Why can't we study people in hospitals? Why can't we study patients in hospitals?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, then it will be consented. For some reason, we want to get into communities, do their own projects, do their own hidden case studies, which is all illegal. It's human experimentation, which are chargeable under the Nuremberg Treaty. That's what the Nuremberg Treaty was set up for, to stop people like these doctors, nurses, psychiatrists, researchers from going out in communities, in homes, in workplaces, and anywhere on the field. They need to stay in the hospitals. Yeah, they need to stay in the mental health institutions. They can't carry on doing what they are doing and get court orders on people because it's illegal research, illegal studies, illegal surveillance monitoring. They overspend it all because they think they're doctors, think they're nurses, think they're mental health administrators and psychiatrists, and think they have a right to. Where's the time length? That's what the courts, magistrates courts and crown courts need to intervene and tell them where's, you know what I mean, where's the time made up from? They used to carry on every day. Yeah, there needs to be a time limit. Secondly, now, not a time limit, they're not allowed to go out in public. That's what they need to be told. Yeah, we need to have the badges taken away from them. Yeah, take their occupations away from them. If any doctor, any nurse, any student, medic, any NHS researcher, any psychiatrist, any social worker, any mental health administrator ever steps out in public, they need to be struck off. That's why the law needs to be changed in the UK, let alone around the world, to stop these gang stalkers going out, having their wicked way with people and doing hidden case studies. I'll leave it at that.
Making us self-absorbed, self-obsessed. What really mattered to Freud, I'd argue, is right here. His ashes are still in this ancient urn, one of his favourites, which celebrates the Greek god Dionysus, the god of wild, irrational impulses. So here in his final resting place, you have sex and lust and death and mania and the power of the past all mixed up together. For a man who told the world he was a scientist, this is a madly, wonderfully romantic last gesture. And a reminder too, perhaps, that Freud believed no matter how deeply we interrogate ourselves, there is an irrational part of our mind destined to stay in the dark. It's true that many of Freud's theories have been dismissed as wildly speculative, criticised for being unscientific, but the questions that he left us with are as cogent now as they were back then. Are we hostages to our pasts and to our hidden anxieties, or can we ever learn to understand our psyches, to be truly masters of our own minds?
In the end, I succeeded, but the struggle is not yet over.
If the mind of Freud has made you think, then why not explore further with the Open University to discover how other great minds have shaped our world today? Go to the address on the bottom of the screen and follow the links to the Open University.
You want to watch the programme? It's on BBC iPlayer, Channel 4. The program's called The Genius of the Modern World. First one's Marx, second one's Sigmund Freud. And there's another one on BBC 4 iPlayer. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the twisted world of psychiatrists who, due to what I'm exposing of Big Brother gang stalking surveillance, that's his link to the flat upstairs, they're still here. And they're trying to think they're sociologists, human behavioural scientists, but just a bunch of twisters making videos about videos of the council targets they've listed corruptly, me and my family, trying to stitch us up. And so I'm not having it, I'm just exposing them all. I mean, we're doing hidden case studies and have done for a very long time, passing it on to NHS nurses, junior medics, NHS doctors, nurses, doing all kinds of things, urology, human biology, human behavioural science, human body language, positioning, watching me sit in my chair, lying in bed, going to the toilet, doing everyday human behavioural science things. And we just took the law into our own hands. And like I said, what I said earlier, they should not be allowed to go out in communities, workplaces, or on the field, and we need to stick in hospitals. Yeah, go and get consent from hospital patients and from mental health patients that they've got in their care. And anyone found, any doctor, psychiatrist, or mental health administrator, NHS nurse, students, experienced ones, senior doctors, and junior medics, students, whatever, if they ever get caught doing what they are doing, what I'm exposing, then they need to be struck off and imprisoned, as far as I'm concerned. And that's where the law needs to change within adult social services and the Swaziland Centre Doctors Association and the mental health sectors. And if you show me anywhere, in any courts of law, even if you get court order via the secret kangaroo system, judge and jury, I will make sure they get struck off and get in prison for it all. Over and out.